Okay, so I just want to welcome everyone. Hello, hello. Happy, beautiful day to you. It is technically spring, but it may not be feeling that way in your neck of the woods, depending on where you're living. We're in Arizona, and it's for sure springtime out here. Thanks for trusting me and just sort of popping on in this super casual way for one of my videos. I'm so happy to have you here.
Yeah, it's so much fun.
So speaking of supplies, the things that I tend to usually have for these art make-along and chats are very simple materials for this particular type of video. Most of the time it is sketchbook or some paper, and I tend to use watercolors a lot because they're really quick and they can kind of just get a very a quick feeling down. I also have things like colored pencils here, just a regular pen and pencil. If you have markers, I really the art projects tend to be very open-ended. So if I invite you to use what you have around, if it's crayons, if it's colored pencils, if it's markers, if you have a very simple set of watercolors with some paint brushes, and a paper towel, any of those things will do. So all that said, why don't you introduce yourself, Kerry, and tell everybody who you are and what you do.
Hello, everybody. My name's Kerry Burki, and yes, I'm an intuitive guide, an intuitive coach, a yoga teacher. I teach about the law of attraction at the Southwest Institute of Healing Arts. I live in Arizona with my husband. I have 2 boys, like middle school and high school. We have 3 cats, a pug, and I'm the author of this book called Tend to Your Vibration, and you guys might recognize that's Kristen's artwork on the outside and on the back.
And you would all recognize that because I do use that book pretty regularly and pick it up and share it with all of you when there's something in there that pertains to what we're chatting about.
How fun, because so today I wanted to bring up that there is a section in here called Working with Your Breath. And so that's kind of what I'm going to pull from this morning. And it's neat. So like lately I've been doing calling moms like self-care circles, and then I started doing this like Wise and Well Women mini retreat. And so doing like yoga and meditation and kind of intuition training with oracle cards, which is fun that I think Kristen pulls an oracle card for this. And then like always breath work. So one of the reasons I love working with the breath is that like when I used to teach and take yoga like all the time when I was younger, when I started having kids, it was harder to get to a yoga class and to kind of tap into those feelings you got after like an hour and a half of practice. And I have found that breath work is kind of a nice way to get some of those feelings when you don't have the time to do, a full like self-care or full yoga practice. So I'm excited, and I think it's such a cool way to do something before you sit down to express yourself creatively, to help shift your energy. And I do believe it helps remove like energetic blockages in your subtle energy body, and so other stuff can kind of flow through. So I'm excited to see what flows through for all of us today.
Yes. I always start our creative practices, and especially the workshops that I do, any of the painting workshops, either in person or online, with 3 simple breaths. And I do that because I really feel like it helps to kind of get rid of all of that like frenetic energy, everything that happened before you arrived into this space to create. And it allows you to kind of calm your nervous system and get grounded. And then it just really brings you present, and it brings you to this present moment. And it's just such a beautiful, simple container before you start to create. So that's just one, like just a 3 breath simple thing that I like to do. And I have learned so much from Kerry because she is always sharing on all of her little platforms, and I always get tidbits of information throughout my day. And there's been lots of different breath works. Like I know the moon breath and the fire breath, and there's a couple that I tend to use pretty regularly that I learned from Kerry and from her book, Tend to Your Vibration. So can you let everyone know before we get any further, just where can they find you? How can they follow you and see what you're up to?
Oh, you're so sweet. Yes. So, I mean, on Facebook, it's my name. So it's Kerry, Burki, like Kerry Burki. And I'm on Instagram. I think it's like at Kerry_Burki. And then my website, it's my name, kerryburki.com. I don't know if I can
And
add
where
to
can
the
they
chat
get
on this, but we'll add it.
can they get your book at from your website, or do they have to go somewhere else?
So the book is available on Amazon, and you just look up Tend to Your Vibration book, and it usually pops up. If you go to my website, there is a link. It'll take you there too. Yes,
Awesome.
thank you.
Yeah. So Kerry talked about oracle cards. We are using the Earth Magic deck to this card, which is Forest and Breath. This was the one that we pulled for April and what we're going to be focusing on today. So I'm just going to read you a little bit about this card before I let Kerry kind of bring us through a little breathwork session. So this card, I'm just going to hold it up first because the beginning part of it talks a bit about the picture. As we make our way across the meadow into the thicker parts of the forest, there's a subtle shift in the sensations in the body. One might initially be barely perceptible, but soon becomes undeniable. It's nearly impossible not to take deeper breaths. The richness of the forest oxygen, giving freely and generously from the trees, to us is a natural exchange for the carbon dioxide we release every time we exhale. Further, the animals of the forest participate in this exchange as well. It is one of the most miraculous and remarkable collaborations between plants and animals that serve to help each other live and thrive. This ratio of oxygen-carbon dioxide exchange has been in balance for millennia, but has been changing quite dramatically in the last several years as the carbon dioxide has been rising. But there's still lots of places where you can, parts of the world where you can still enjoy the refreshing and revitalizing effects of an afternoon sight, sounds, and smells of a walk in the forest. We don't have too many foresty areas here in the Valley of the Sun, but there are ones we can drive to and get to. And I think we talked in a previous video how the Arboretum has a beautiful space out in Superior, Arizona, where you can go and do a little forest bathing. I know Candace has shared with the group that that's something she tries to do pretty regularly. So I encourage any of you out there this month to look for a place to do some forest bathing, just some place where you can go and be among the trees and just feel that exchange, kind of really tap into that relationship between you and the trees and Mother Earth, and just be a little bit more conscious about it this month. So this card is reminding us that our breathing is too shallow. And although it may feel natural, it is an unhealthy habit that causes a shortness of breath. And when you're subconsciously shortening your breath, no matter if this is habitual or triggered by circumstance, it activates physiological signals that prepare your system for your flight or fight response. It's a conditioned response also to hold your breath when you perceive danger. And these things do not serve you. So breathe, inhale deeply, regardless of your concerns, worries, or problems, and then let it go. And then allow yourself to breathe a little deeper and a little slower a few more times. So maybe this month you can just give yourself a little extra awareness to spend time with the trees, to slow down, to take those deep breaths, and just be a little more conscious about calming your nervous system. And it doesn't take much. It does not take a very long time. Dawn says, I love that book. I use it all the time. She's talking about tending to your vibration that Kerry wrote. It's a beautiful, beautiful book. It's such a great gift too. I would think it's like, get one for yourself and get one to give to a friend. You know, once you get them, you'll know who to give it to and at just the right time to give it to them. Marianne is saying, at the end of next week, I will go to my local forest and walk around the lake for the first time this year. I can't wait for you to do that. And if you snap a picture, you share it with me. Post it in the group and let us know. Because when we share things like that, we encourage the rest of us to take those pauses too. You know, there's like a ripple effect that happens when we share what we're up to. Because it's hard sometimes to take those moments of time out and to remember to do it. And when you see someone else do it, you go, oh yeah, I did want to take care of myself in that way. And I'm going to make time. All right. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Kerry. Now I see us like this. I don't know what happened. There she is. There's.
Okay.
We're good.
Oh, hello, Maria. Okay.
All right. So
we're here for an adventure. This is what the breath helps you deal with.
Exactly.
All the little life hiccups.
So perfect timing for me to turn it over to you to lead us through a little bit of breath work.
So one thing I want to mention that just happened while Kristen was talking is that a hummingbird just came like all the way. I was like, oh my gosh, please go in front of the camera. But it didn't. And like, it just came like all the way right here and then buzzed around. And so, because I just associate the hummingbird with, it's associated with air, and then air is associated with breath, that I just thought that was a beautiful little message. So I'm going to share, because it's in my book, Hummingbird Energy. So I feel like a little message that came through for us is looking for and enjoying the sweetness of life, lightness of being, adaptability, independence and swiftness, and air energy. So I just need
to add to that hummingbirds have been showing up for me the last couple of weeks all around. And today I came outside and I was doing something else, and two of them like almost crashed into me. They were just like right in front of me, and then one took off, and then one went to my bougainvillea plant. So it was just like, I'm like, you guys are really trying to get my attention. So that's really funny that you felt had the same.
Well, we talked about that last week. So of course, and when I go live with you, a hummingbird comes on this side too. Okay, I think we can all just, Kristen, the message is for you, and then we'll all take what we need from that too. I just want to share a quote from the beginning of like the breath section, and it says, "When you own your breath, nobody can steal your peace." And so a lot of times when I teach yoga classes, like I talk about how using your breath as like your anchor during class, and then, trying to use that off the mat too. And so that's just always, kind of just a nice message that really, if you can own your breath, learn how to tune into your breath, kind of come back to your breath when you're feeling stressed and worried and stuff, it'll really kind of help you just feel a little bit more in control, at least of your reactions. You can't always control what's going on outside of you, but connecting and kind of owning your breath, reminding you that you do have some control over that, really is like a grounding thing that really does help you kind of have that boundary that nobody can steal your peace. So something I wanted to share a little bit, that's just at the beginning of this, that it's called, like in yoga, the regulation of the breath through specific techniques and exercises is called pranayama. And learning to use breathing techniques is just a quick way to create and experience a positive shift in your life. Your body has many treasures to offer you. These lessons will help you tap into them while experiencing numerous benefits. I was talking about other ones, but we're going to get into this. And what we're going to do today is not in my book, because when I saw the forest visualization or the forest image, my intuition kicked in and we're going to do some breath work with a little visualization. So, okay. And Kristen, you can hear me? Like everybody, just thumbs up, Kristen.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
okay.
We can hear you great.
Okay, so if you're sitting on something that has a back, then I want you to lean back. If your feet are on the floor, I'd like you to place them flat on the floor. If you're sitting cross-legged, that's fine. If you want to lie down, that's fine too. What I want you to do is kind of get a sense of letting yourself feel supported. So usually, if you're just sitting forward, anything, just all these muscles have to work. So you can get into a little bit of more of a relaxed position. And you're going to close your eyes. And we're going to start with what I call cleansing breaths. Not what I call, they're called cleansing breaths. And it means you inhale deeply through your nose, but you exhale out of your mouth. And depending on where you are right now and your comfort level, you might even like to do that with a sigh, so that it would be like, and I just want us to do that a couple times. If you don't feel comfortable with the sigh, that's fine. You just inhale through your nose and exhale out of your mouth. And the feeling I want you to get here is that each inhale becomes a little bit deeper, but that each exhale, you let go a little bit. You let go of some of the muscle tension, holding your body up and letting it relax into whatever you're sitting on. You inhale and let that breath maybe go into some sort of spot in your body, in your mind, in your energy field that is stuck or challenging, and you help loosen it up. And when you exhale, feel like that's leaving your body. So getting a feeling of letting go, just surrendering a little bit to the moment. And I just want you to feel a kind of a softening. So nice deep inhales through the nose, exhale out of the mouth. And so notice the areas you carry the most tension. For me, shoulders and low back. So like first, just a couple breaths you can have. Next couple breaths could go to your shoulders. And when you exhale, just consciously let that area relax a little bit. And then maybe pick another area. Imagine inhaling to that space and exhale, consciously softening and relaxing. Okay, so from that cleansing breath, we're going to switch to diaphragmatic breathing. So that's just deep breathing. So keeping your eyes closed, I want you to just let your inhales be deep and exhales be long, but you're going to breathe only through your nose. And here I want you to feel that like your inhale almost kind of goes past the chest, and what you really feel expand is your rib cage and belly area, even maybe the back of the rib cage and the low back. And you feel those areas expand when you inhale and draw back in when you exhale. And let that be your focus for a little bit. And just feeling the breath expand the belly and the rib cage. And then when you exhale, you feel like it draw back in. Letting your breath get you out of your head and into your body. And then you're just going to continue breathing deeply. And in your mind's eye, I just want you to imagine that you are in the middle of a beautiful forest. Maybe it's a forest you visited before. Maybe it's a forest you've seen pictures of but have never been to. Or maybe someplace just showed up in your mind that you've never even had a concept of. And so I want you to imagine yourself in this forest. If you have a hard time visualizing, then you can try to just get maybe a sense that you're in this forest. And I want you just to see what feels right for you. Do you feel like walking around the forest? Do you feel like finding a spot to sit down? Do you feel like standing where you are and looking at all the sights? So whatever you're doing, do take some time to look around, look at the bark on the trees, notice if it's sunny or shady or it's nighttime, maybe morning. Like if it's sunny, maybe you notice the sun light coming through the leaves. Maybe notice what's on the ground. Is it more dirt? Is there moss? Are there rocks? And then notice any sensations. Like maybe you reach out and touch a bush. Maybe you reach out and touch the bark of a tree. Maybe you feel a breeze on your skin. And then notice any sounds. So wherever you're doing, if you're walking, sitting, standing, are there any sounds? And that could be the leaves rustling. Maybe you hear birds. And then I want you to even kind of imagine like scents. Like if you looked around, like what are you smelling? Fresh dirt. Maybe it's a cedar tree. Maybe there's flowers blooming. And so if you were walking around, I want you to find a spot that just feels perfect to sit or stand. And then in your mind's eye and in real life, I want you to take one hand on your heart and one hand on your belly. And I just want you to really feel your connection to this forest. And that just everything you focused on, the sights, the sounds, the sensations, and the smell, is like the living breath of the forest. And allow yourself again here to focus on your breath. So the hand that's on the heart won't move as much, but you'll feel that hand on the belly really kind of move as you inhale and expand. And you'll feel it draw back in with the belly as you exhale. And just focusing on your breath again, sitting in this beautiful forest or standing. And just feeling with each breath how you are one with everything here. You have no illusion of separation. You feel one with the dirt, the bark, the breeze, the leaves, the animals, the flowers, the rocks, the moss. And with each breath, you feel this more deeply. With each breath, you feel the strength and grounding energy that comes from the trees and the dirt and the earth and the rocks. And with each breath, you feel a connection to the lightness of the breeze, the movement of the leaves. And with each breath, you feel deeply connected to the wisdom and beauty of the flowers and the animals and the forest as a whole. So then allow your next inhale to be the deepest one you've taken. And at the very top, you're going to hold it as long as feels comfortable, but maybe just slightly uncomfortable. And then whenever your body feels like it's time to release, you're going to release the breath either through the nose or through the mouth, whatever feels right. And then you're going to do that 2 more times. So just have that inhale be super deep. And then hold it. Feel like you're drawing in all that amazing energy of the forest. breath of the universe, the breath of earth. And then when you exhale out anything you don't need. And then after you've done that 3 times, allow your breath just to relax. And just feel like with your hand on your heart and your hand on your belly, you're sealing in that beautiful connection to your breath and to all the energies associated with the forest. And that the beautiful surroundings you've found yourself in today is your intuition letting you know this is a safe space for you to come, to connect with yourself, connect with the earth, connect with your creative muse. So if there's any area of your life you've been seeking guidance around, or just some maybe creative inspiration you want for the rest of this call, just kind of drop that in as a question now, knowing that the support will show up, the guidance will come, and reminding yourself that a lot of times it's easier to recognize that guidance showing up when you slow down and listen to your breath. So then let's just do one last really, really deep inhale, holding it at the top, and let's everyone exhale out of your mouth. And then just take a moment and just express some gratitude toward yourself, saying thank you for taking this time to show up on this call with Kristen this morning, showing up for yourself, and discovering this beautiful spot in the forest that is just for you. Okay, then whenever you're ready, just start to wiggle your fingers and your toes, and then maybe stomp your feet out, shake your hands out. You like to lift your arms, maybe do a little moving. Maybe do a couple inhales in the nose, out of the mouth, a couple shoulder rolls. So just coming from that space into the present moment. And then thank you so much for being present to take that time for yourself together.
That was beautiful. That was so beautiful. It took me a few minutes to kind of get on board with all of you because I was trying to push all these buttons, but nothing was showing up that would allow me to change the view. And then I just kind of said, okay, it's time for me to surrender and allow myself to just relax and receive all of this wonderful guidance from you and the trees and the forest. It was lovely. I'd love to hear from all of you. Maria says thank you. How did you feel? Were you walking in a path? Were you sitting somewhere in the forest? How did it show up for you? And I was just gonna see, Kerry, if maybe you switched your phone direction, if that would help. It wouldn't let me switch mine, but now you're silent. Now you're silent. Yeah, it just kind of got itself totally off kilter. I think what I'll do is I will remove you and invite you back in.
I'm gonna.
Now you're like a bat.
I know.
Because they're not going to be able to see what I'm doing when we move on to the creative part in this
perfect.
layout. Okay.
Yep.
So I'm going to see if I can remove you and then just invite you back in, or invite yourself back in, right. Ask to be
okay.
Change to viewer. Okay, we'll see if we can get Kerry back in and we can get the layout to go back to what it was in the beginning. Oh, I feel so relaxed. So while I hang out a second for Kerry to return, I'm gonna get my supplies together for our creative time. And I've got here, I was doing a little warm up before we went live, and this is what I was working on. But now that we've done the visualization, I kind of want there to be more than one tree. So we'll see. So I've got some water, I've got paper towels, I have some brushes, some very simple pan watercolors, and colored pencils, regular pencil, and I think that's it in my sketchbook. Let's see if I can make myself set up and still be able to see comments. I don't see Kerry on here. When I tried to add her back shortly after she jumped off, it said connection failed. So maybe she just needed to regroup on her end. There you are. Oh, it came in the same way again. Why?
Did it?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I will hop off and watch so I can create with everybody.
Oh, yeah. I wonder what, something just changed from the beginning, and that just happens sometimes.
It's all good.
Oh, thank you so much, Kerry, for joining us on here. It was really lovely to have you, and we will for sure have you back again.
You're so sweet. Yes, thanks. I have all my supplies out here.
Awesome.
So I'm going to join in.
Okay.
Okay. Love you.
Cool.
Okay.
All right. Love you.
Bye.
Bye. So decide which direction you want to do your page. I'll probably go this direction because it'll be a little easier for you all to see. And I'm just going to start with a pencil. And when you're drawing with a pencil, some things to note is when you are closer to the tip, you're going to have a lot more control of what you're making. Your lines will be a lot more controlled. If you move further back, like onto the middle of your pencil or way back to the back of your pencil, you're going to get less and less control and more freer lines. So I'm going to work myself a little bit further back. And I'm just going to start by creating some lines up and down for some trees. Maybe we'll do 3. And if you want to do sort of a little path that starts wider and goes back skinnier, and then see if you want any more trees after you do that, because I feel like I do want it to feel a little more foresty. So now that I've got my trunks started with a little bit of a placement, we can add on to them as we go. I'm gonna just grow out some limbs. And again, I'm holding my pencil really far back because I'm trying to make it very loose, kind of scratchy. And then you can come down and add a little bit more to your tree. And then I'll do the same thing on the next one. Start with my trunk and then kind of grow. And I'm just letting the pencil move around, do what it wants to. And then grow that trunk a little bit. I seem to start in the same way each time, just sort of how my hand is going. And then I'm going to play a little bit with, in the same way, with maybe roots on the bottom. Real simple. And now you can keep going with your pencil if that's what you've got, or if you want to pick up some colored pencils. I'm going to add a few little shapes of leaves. I'm just going, and my leaf shape, I'm starting from the bottom of the leaf and then going to the point and coming back. You can switch between putting leaves on the top and the bottom, or putting a little cluster of 3 leaves together. And I'm just making sure I've got a couple of leaves on each of my trees. So one of the ways you can use some leaves from your tree is you can kind of play with the shape and trace it in the background if you want to add a little bit of an abstract feeling going on, like another layer. But what I think is really fun is actually using some of my paint. So now I'm going to pick up some of this paint, some of this green, a little bit of this black, just to make it a little darker green. And I can paint on the leaf itself and then turn it over. I'll just let it fall where it may. Stamp it down. And now you've got a really cool little leaf shape. And I'm just doing this to add some fun texture into the background. So when you paint the underside of the leaf, look at how that turned out. I wanted to kind of get that in the light there so you can see it. Now I'm going to pick up a little blue and just add this behind my trees. Different levels of water is going to give you some lighter. When there's more water, you'll get lighter color. There's less water in your paint, you'll get a darker color blue. So next I'm going to pick up some of this lighter green and I'm going to switch to a smaller brush. I was using a larger brush for the swashes of color in the background. I'm going to switch to a smaller round brush. And I'm going to touch down with the point of the brush and then drag it. So you've got the point and then drag, and then point and then drag. And what that will do is give you these little leaf shapes. I'm just going to bounce around my trees and add some of these little, if you get too much water, you're going to get a kind of a little blob like that. Just tap out with my paper towel. So that's the lightest color green. Now I'm going to come back with this darker green and do the same thing. And what that will do is add a little contrast and variation. Just like the dapples of light. When lights hit the leaves, you're going to have some darker some darker leaves and some lighter leaves. And I'm going to do one more green. So I'm going to take a little bit of the black and add it to that darker green to make it a little bit darker. So that I've got three different tones of green. And you can do that with markers and colored pencils by using a few different tones. So you can kind of combine green with yellow to make a lighter tone. You can marker on top of, or combine the blend with colored pencils. So if I were to make a little dark green colored pencil leaf, and then I came back with a little bit of yellow on top of that, I'm going to get that extra color in there. So now I'm going to pick up my brown. You could either pick up your brown watercolor or your brown colored pencil. And I'm just going to follow those trunk scratchy lines. And if you make short little scratchy lines on your tree, it will give some texture like the tree bark. And here you can even grow your trunk a little bit larger if you want to. And I'm going back and forth between different materials so that if you have one material and not another, you kind of have an idea of how you can use it. Or if you've got both, you can play with the mixed media of it. And you know, trees have those fun little knots in there. So you can add some knots in any larger areas. You have your pencil lines from the beginning that you can follow along with. You don't have to follow them, you know, precisely. You can let yourself just use them as a guide and let those pencil marks be there. Oh, good. We got a little break in the sun, so it toned down some of the glare. Bring that path out a little bit. For me, it was a path. You might have had a creek. Maybe this is water and this is a creek. If you were sitting on a rock or a boulder during your visualization, you might want to bring that into into focus. And now I'm going to pick up one of my smaller round brushes again and come back to the watercolor. And I'm just going to use the tip. So if you use the tip of your brush and you touch down really lightly, you'll get a nice small line. If you want to create a flatter piece of area, you just kind of squish your brush down a little bit more to get that. And I'm just outlining and finding some of those little branches again. I'm just going to dip my bigger brush in water and do a little bit of what's called swashing, just swashing some of this water around to blend some of those watercolors and just make it a little looser. Maybe it's water, or maybe this is a path, I don't know. I can just dab away some of that excess. I like these little pieces of leaf in here, so I'm going to do that again. Over on this side, just for fun. That's one thing I like about my sketchbook. Like, I don't have to have a finished idea. I can use this as a place to play around, and you know, maybe this is a technique that, oh, I had way too much water. So because I had way too much water, I didn't have a very dark impression. So let me try that again with a little less water and see if I can get a better impression. So this might be a technique I use in something else art-wise later, but because I've got it in my sketchbook on this page, when I flip through my sketchbook for inspiration in the future, I may see it and go, oh yeah, really liked when I did that. And I'm going to add a little bit of black into my green. Make it a little bit darker of a impression. And that way I can go over this one over here. Let's see if there's any residual paint on that. Bring back maybe some little grassy areas, just using my colored pencil. Make some squiggles. Make some squiggles over here. And then if I wanted to turn this into more of a pathway, I can add some little cobblestones in here. Make the cobblestones bigger, closer to you. And then they get smaller as they move away. Don says, I've been popping in and out and your forest looks so serene, right? That's what happens when we're with Kerry and we have a really nice little visualization. Just puts me in that very calm place. Maybe I have some rocks or some kind of dirt in brown over here. And then lastly, I might just take some of this blue and fill in some scribbles in the sky. Take some watercolor again and kind of tap in between some of these branches a little bit more. You can even take a little bit darker of a blue closer to the bottom. Because there'll be less sunlight that gets down here with all of those leaves. So maybe the blue's a little bit darker and a little bit lighter as it moves up. Oh, one last thing. One last thing before I go. So I'm going to get a little bit of black. Try not to have it be too wet. And I think I'll just kind of come in and add a little black on my pathway. For more contrast. And then I can grab a little bit more water and just kind of fan that out a little bit. Oh, so there's our forest. Or my forest at least. Your forest might look a little bit different than mine. You may have different types of trees. Maybe yours is at sunset or the early morning, so you may have some different colors. But I hope you enjoyed a fun little peaceful forest sketch with me today. You can add some words if you want to. I was thinking about tree wisdom. So a lot of things that come to mind are, stand tall and stay grounded. I think I wrote a couple down. Listen to the trees, stand tall, and put down roots. Today is a beautiful day to breathe deep. I'll just show you this other one I did. So this was my little warm up before we came on earlier, and I was just playing with doing one tree. And I have some of those leaf stamps in the background. I also added some different colors in between the branches. So some purples and some reds if you want to add a little bit more color. Where is my page? There it is. You can do that too. You can pick up a different color and maybe fill in some of these open spaces with something that may not normally be there. Like a blue, like some purples. You can have fun with that, adding a little more abstract. If I dip my brush in purple with a lot of water and then give it a little tap, then I can add some little splashies around. All right, everyone. I hope you have a beautiful, beautiful rest of your day and weekend. And I hope that if you created along with me, that you'll share a picture in the Discover Your Creative Magic Facebook group so that we can see what your beautiful forests look like. And if you didn't create along with me today, maybe you'll have time to create along in the coming week or so. And if possible, get out and spend some time with the trees. I love that Kerry's meditation allowed us to spend time with the trees in our mind's eye. Thank you all so, so much. Thanks, Kerry, if you're here with us on the other end. Lots of love to you. I appreciate you coming on and joining us today. And I will see you all very soon. Remember to take a nice deep breath, and everything will be okay. Love you all.